All right, everybody. It is the man they call Dave on the Working Fans Podcast. And today I got three-time author now, Vinny Berry. He's written books Lance by Chance and now Wrestleville Volume 1 and 2. Vinny, welcome back to the show, man.
Hey, thank you very much for having me on, Dave. It's good to be here.
Awesome, man. So the last time we talked, Pro Wrestling Vault Volume 1 came out. What was it? There you go. What was it actually like to promote that book? And where did you go?
Well, it's one of those things that it's just telling the people about it. But I'll tell you this: selling it online and it does not do it justice, because when I go to live shows and people pick this thing up, they don't put it down. They every time they ask, "Hey man, how much does this book cost?" Because they start thumbing through it and they start seeing what's in it. And there's over 400 pictures in this book, and there's 35 short stories. And I'll go down, I'll just shoot off some names that are in the book. But you got guys like Bobby Fulton, Tracy Smothers, Bill Dundee, Ricky Morton is in this book, Supermex Sean Hernandez, Tim Storm, Harley Race, Bushwhacker Luke is in this book, Larry Henning, C.W. Anderson, and then there's guys that may be not as known as them. Bruce Thorpe is in here, Sir Mo is in here, yes. James Beard, Mr. USA. There's a bunch of people with large careers and not so well known people,
but all have stories.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody has a story, right?
Absolutely. And that's I know one thing personally I've noticed too is like just doing this is like sometimes you interview guys like George South, who's been in the business forever, and it's like, okay, he may not be as big a name as some, but he's got like so many stories. He's worked with Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, and yeah, I think that's the same thing, right? You start talking to some of these guys, and you're probably like, sometimes I imagine like it's not insulting, but like you go into something, you don't know what to expect, and then sometimes you get blown away by some of these people, I would imagine.
Oh, absolutely. And for my second Wrestleville book, the Pro Wrestling Vault Volume 2, unbelievable stories in this book, and one that really kind of really takes me back. In April of 2019, I interviewed Blake Christian.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Right.
And he was not real known in the scene. He was wrestling in the Tennessee area, and he met Sir Mo somehow. I don't know how. He met Sir Mo, came to Dallas, and through Sir Mo, he said, "Dude, you got to interview this kid." And I said, "Okay, yeah. I'll do it." And I interviewed him. Story in this book about him and how he got started in pro wrestling started off with a tragedy and a lot of mourning, right? But it got to the point where his dad was like, "Look, man, I will do anything to help you," and he ended up sending him off to a wrestling academy in his state, and those guys took him in, and he basically worked through his depression and honed his skills as a pro wrestler. And you know what? I'll share the tragedy that happened. Him and his former girlfriend, they were broken up at the time, but they were still very good friends, and obviously maybe still in love or both cared for each other deeply because they were still hanging out, And so they went to this party, them and another friend, and the other friend got really inebriated, got drunk, and so Blake said, "Hey, I think it's time to take him home." And she was like, "Well, do you mind taking him home and coming back to meet me, and then we'll leave together?" And because it was still an early night or whatever. And he was like, "Oh, yeah, that's a good idea." So he took this friend home and he came back to the party. And when he came back to the party, emergency vehicles were there. And what happened was there was a fight that broke out. And somebody during that fight pulled out a gun, and everybody in the party, left. They either ran outside or they ran into other rooms to take cover. Well, the guns went off, and a bullet went through the wall and into the bathroom, and his girlfriend was in the bathroom, and
Wow.
she got struck by the stray bullet, and she died. And so, that story is in the book. There's stories like, I have the Northern Wrestling promotion. There's a picture of Roger Ruffin right here. He's been in wrestling for over 30 years. Are you familiar with Roger Ruffin?
Oh yeah, I've heard the name. Yeah.
Okay, and his story is in here. Matter of fact, the book opens with his story, and there's about 40 or 50 pictures from his promotion, and there's about a 10-page story in here about his story and how he got connected with pro wrestling, and he followed his dream, and now he's passing on professional wrestling to hundreds and hundreds of people. But 5 names that stand out to me, let me see, Monster Abyss, Chris Harris, Carl Anderson, Jordan Clearwater, Jillian Hall, and there's a couple coming up. Nikki Victory, she's been on the AEW. Lord Crew, he's been working with Game Changer Wrestling. So he's definitely got a formula that works, and it's just an interesting story. That's one of 46 stories in the book as well.
I want to ask you, just listening to you talk about these books and everything like that. Like I said, I think first started talking around 2019. I want to say it was before the pandemic. How do you feel like now in your third book, like you've grown as like an author, but also as, just a person having to go out here and promote this book and being more involved in the wrestling? Like, how do you feel you've evolved?
Well, that's a good question, man. I think for me, I think writing, it always seems to, I look back at stuff I wrote a couple years ago and I'm like, oh my gosh, dude. I think like that. And so and I'm constantly reading, and I'm reading stuff that is going to help me improve as a writer. I don't I've never come to this place where I don't have to keep on working at this, because I do, but I think the more I do it, that strengthens the getting out and meeting people. I can talk to a tree, right? I mean, that's never been a difficult thing for me. But my expectations are something I have to, I always think, oh man, it's so great and everybody's going to love it. And it's not really the case. It's everybody's different, right? And I'll say one thing: a lot of people do like the short stories because they don't feel like they have to commit to a long book, right? And they like this, and and I like doing them too. I always wanted to do books of short stories, and I thought, well, what would I write about? Because I'm reading stuff like Edgar Allan Poe, but I don't write like that, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, wait a second, dude. You've interviewed all these wrestlers, and so I started putting them together, cleaning them up, and I guess just really the whole aspect. I'll tell you this: I don't pay for people to do my picture layouts anymore.
Right.
The Lance book cost me over $500 to do that, and the next book I put 400 pictures in it, and I did that. So that took a while, but I'm learning how to make books, right? And there's still some things that I get get stuck on, but there's always somewhere along the line, there's someone there to kind of point you in a different direction or to show you things.
Here we go. We got some comments here too. It looks like producer Joe got in here and wanted to comment. What wrestling promotions were you able to get out and plug it out?
And see, I went to there's the Wrestling League. It used to be the Texas Wrestling League, but now they call themselves the Wrestling League because they do stuff in Florida as well. I've been there. I've been New Breed Championship Wrestling. These are promotions down here in South Texas where I live. I've gone up to Dallas, and I've sold books at MPX. It's out of Hurst, Texas. That's really, you should look that place up. That is a really cool promotion. It's run by Stephen Kirby. The dude is a phenomenal wrestler. I think he has the school and he trains up there, but I went to a show up there, and that dude was the whole package. I mean, he really, and he wasn't the main event, but he was strategically put somewhere in the card where it just made the whole card even that much better, right? So
yeah,
he's got a good thing going on. His wrestlers up there, and he brings in Madman. What's not Madman Pondo? What's his name?
I don't know. You had me thinking Madman Pondo for a minute.
Well, it's not him. I just watched this match the other day, but it escaped me. But he brings in big names.
Yeah,
and and Sir Mo's promotion as well. So, I'm going up there this December to go to Dallas, and I'm hoping. Matter of fact, my brother wanted to take me to the Cowboy game, and I said, dude, I got some wrestling shows to go to. So I turned down Cowboy tickets on Christmas Eve, which is the Eagles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And my brother has decent seats. I mean, they ain't top dollar, but he's got decent seats for that stadium because that's a big place.
Hey, we got to go, comments. One more question from the comments here. Was there a name you were most surprised to get?
On this last one, Kamala.
Yeah.
I was surprised to get Kamala.
Yeah.
And he was sick when I reached out to him, and he talked to me for a couple minutes, and he said, "Hey, buddy, call me next week. I don't feel good." I said, "All right." I called him, and he said, "Yeah, let's talk." And he wanted to talk, and we talked, and about 2 months later, he passed away.
Wow.
I've been wanting to get Kamala for a long, long time. I just loved watching him when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I bought into.
Same.
I really thought he was from the jungle, right?
Same. I got suckered too, man.
I mean, the spear and the mask and the pain. I was like, wow, this guy's a cannibal.
One of the few wrestlers I can remember as a kid, I was scared of, like legit scared of. Like, yeah.
Absolutely. Leilani Kai is in this book. Okay. Soraya Knight, Paige's mom, is in this book.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Mario Mancini. Are you familiar with Mario?
Mario Mancini. Was he enhancement guy in the 80s with yeah.
He prefers the
Carpenter?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, he does prefer Jobber. Wow. I was like, oh, no, usually okay.
Hey, he says in this book, he goes, "Don't you dare call me an enhancement. I'm not human Viagra."
That's awesome.
I have Nikita Knight in here.
Okay.
Hale right now in NXT.
Oh, yeah, yep.
So I've got Thunder Rosa's in this book. Kerry Morton's in this book. Susan Green is in this book. Duke the Dumpster, Bobby Eaton, Blake Christian, Congo Kong, Scott Casey. I mean, really, the list goes on. Sal Renaro, Bam Bam Malone, Sheldon Goldberg, who you're familiar with, Papa Stro. So
yeah.
I would say that this thing is, it's the whole book is exceeded my expectations for some of the people that I got in this thing.
It's wild because you've interviewed some people who would go on to pass away. You've interviewed some people who would end up being stars, on a bigger stage. And it's like, it's all the spectrum. And now, me and Joe were talking about this before you went on. It's interesting now, because your first book was about Lance Von Erich, and now he is being played in a movie, in the Von Erich story, by MJF, who's the champion of the number 2 promotion in North America right now. So, what did you think about that? What did you hear about that?
I loved it.
Yeah, sure.
Because ever since it was announced, sales started trickling in again. So,
yeah,
it really helped. It's like you got to constantly beat the drum, right? And something like that is, you really can't ask for anything better than that to happen. And it's really interesting about that movie is because in 2020, when it was announced that movie was being made, when I was working on the Lance Von Erich book, I interviewed Johnny Mantell, and Johnny Mantell had said, he goes, it's a shame that Kevin's working on that movie with the screenwriter because the truth isn't coming out.
Right.
And I went on a podcast, and they had the scriptwriter on there that worked with Kevin Von Erich.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and don't ask me to. I can't remember his name off. I have it written down, but not in front of me. And
what timing though?
What's that?
What timing though? You happen to be on the.
It was unbelievable. Well, they surprised me with him. They said,
Yeah.
"Hey, we got this guy," and so I started questioning him about Lance Von Erich, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about." And then I thought, you know what? I have an idea how this movie's going to go, right?
Yeah.
Shortly after that, they put the squash, man. They just we're not making the movie. Fast forward a little bit, Sean Durkin picks it up. He's from Canada, a director, right. Movie director from up there. And he picked up the project, and it was said that Kevin Von Erich wasn't working on the project. And then maybe fast forward a little bit, a month or so, or a couple months, maybe a couple months, then MJF was announced. And when they announced that, I thought, okay, this is going to be interesting. It's really going to be interesting to see how they tell the story, because I don't think you can tell that story without adding him. He was such an integral part. Mm-hmm. They brought him in for one reason, and that was because David Von Erich died. Mike wasn't ready,
right? And
they had him there when Kerry had his motorcycle accident and Kevin had his injury. He was the only Von Erich there at one time wrestling. So, to just kind of pretend that he never existed, that's not history, And so I'm excited. My wife said to me, and this was prior to Sean Durkin getting on board, she says, I'm not worried about not being able to sell the books when that movie comes out.
Yeah.
And then when MJF was announced, it's not like they were flying out the door, but I could see one or two or three, extra a week, or it was popping up on Amazon, and people, if you want an autograph, I still got some autograph copies of Lance Von Erich. You're not getting that autograph anywhere because he is not going to shows.
Right.
You can get those on my website at Wrestleville.com, but for someone who likes rare autographs, Wrestleville.com, you can get a Lance by Chance, a book, and a sticker put in there signed by Lance Von Erich himself.
All right, there you go. Right now, if you're into rare autographs, that's definitely a good one to have. And I think, especially as this movie gets closer and comes out, you're going to see a lot more people wanting that. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to add too, if you go to the website as well for the Pro Wrestling Volume 1 and 2, there's signed autograph labels in there for those books as well.
Awesome.
And in the new one, my goodness, man, you talk about getting lucky. I scored Jeremiah Plunkett, Sal Renaro, Kerry Morton, Jazz, PJ Black. My goodness, Andrew Anderson, and there's about 11 total. So yeah, I was really pleased with the ones that I got for that one. That was amazing.
Now, one other question we had. This might have been from Volume 1. You can correct me.
Okay.
Someone was asking, what was Bobby Eaton like? I guess you had Bobby Eaton.
Oh my gosh, dude, he was so nice, man.
Yeah.
The day that we were planning to call, matter of fact, I had called him, and he was driving, or he was. They might have been going to a show or something. Him and his friend, because his friend was driving and he was in the car, and we were talking a little bit. And I told him what I wanted to do, and he goes, "Okay, well, I'd love to do it now because I got the time, but it's noisy and distractions. We're driving. We got the radio on." I was like, "Okay," and he goes, "Hey, call me next week." And I'm thinking, that I'm never going to hear from this guy again. Right. A week later, he called me on the day that we thought that we were going to meet. And he had said, "Hey, Vinny, I can't, something came up today. I have to go do something. I wasn't counting on this. And let's reschedule." And I was like, "Okay." And then we rescheduled, and he, what I liked about him was he did what he said he was going to do. And I have a lot of respect for that, because that was something that I was brought up with. And I'll say this one thing about wrestlers, and not just wrestlers. This has been my experience with all combative fighters, whether they're boxers, MMAs, wrestlers. They say yes, but they don't always follow through, man.
Right.
And it's just, in my, if I ever complain to my wife, like, "I can't believe that guy stood me up," she says, "Hey, you've been doing this for over 12 years or so. This is what they do." So, it's, you just make friends with it, I guess.
You do. And I'll say this too, for a little while on this podcast, we were doing a thing, like a comedy segment, and we'd interview comedians, and without naming names, worse than the wrestlers. Like the wrestlers were tough enough to get sometimes. Like, you get a lot that say yes, then they forget, or they just don't do it. And you have some to do, and you really appreciate the ones to do, as you know, especially like you said, like Bobby, someone who remembers or is a little early or takes that time. You appreciate that shit so much for anyone listening. But
he was just a nice guy.
Yeah. That's great.
And the story that he shared with me is awesome too. He talks about what the tag team was like with wrestling with Dennis, and what it was like with Stan, and just how much he loved all those guys and in that group. He talks about Big Bubba and Jimmy.
Right.
And it was really nice.
That's awesome. Now, my next question would be, I guess, do you plan on writing another book?
I am working on a book right now. I'm working on a book with Black Bart.
Oh wow, Black Bart, man. He's never told his story before then.
He has not. Matter of fact, when he was introduced to me, because I always every time I get to the end of a book, I'm like, okay, let's hit the reset button, and let's reevaluate, and maybe I don't want to do this again. And I was working on, I guess, one of these two books, because they were kind of working on them together, but I can't, what was it? About a year ago, somebody said, "Hey, I'm doing some promotional stuff with Black Bart. He's looking for somebody to help him write his book." And I said, man, I'm a little bogged down right now. I don't want to take on another project. So when I finished, when I got to a resting place or a place where I felt like I had my head above water, because I reached out to Bart in March, and this is what, now November, and this is coming out. So I was doing all the formatting, all the proofreading and all that stuff from March on, right? And I took somewhere in that time, I interviewed him for about a 6-week period, I think. And so he's retired. So I'd call him up and we talk for a couple hours. But the first time I talked to him, he said to me, I said, hey, Bart, this is Vinny. He goes, dadgum, Vinny, I've been waiting for you to call me, man. And that's about how he talks. And he said that he'd been wanting to write his book for the last 10 years and have it, and for whatever reason, didn't connect with somebody, or, people would say, oh yeah, I'll set you up with somebody, and then never followed through or whatever. And I said, dude, I'll commit with you, and we'll work on this together. And, every project has its challenges, it's, with Lance, because you're talking about, give me your time, right? Lance is busy and traveling and all this stuff, right? And but for Bart, and Lance had this issue too, was just remembering everything from 30 years ago, so we'll be talking, and I just call him up to wish him Thanksgiving, and he'll drop a story on me. I was like, whoa. Dude, why didn't you tell me this a long time ago? Well, you just said cranberries, and that made me think of this time. I was like, okay, dude. So that happens a lot with Bart.
Vinny, I got one more comment question here today. Randy Osga timed in, and I know you've had plenty, so whatever you feel like mentioning, but a favorite wrestler to interview.
Oh my gosh, dude! You know what? There's a lot of them. I can't, and also too, on my website, if you go through my podcasts, there's a lot of guys on there too, and guys that I haven't written about. And it's hard to say. I was talking to Moonshine Mantell the other night. I don't know if you know who he is, but he was a wrestler from Texas, and now he's up in Kansas. He's got a school up there. And me and that guy could still be talking. I tell you, I tell you this. Someone who I get along really, really, really well with is Mark Youngblood.
Oh, okay, Mark Youngblood
from the Youngbloods, and me and him talk. We talk often, and sometimes we don't even talk about wrestling. We just talk about what's going on in each other's lives. But he did a recording with me this week, and it will be on my website. And it's probably going to be a 2-parter. And the second part, he talks about what happened the day Bruce Brody was killed in Puerto Rico, and he goes into detail, and pretty amazing stuff. He's never talked about it in 35 years, so except with Frank's wife.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
He's never gone public with it, and I wasn't expecting him to share this with me, and he broke down twice during the interview, so it was pretty emotional stuff. And I've got some podcasts, ahead of his that are going to be running, so I can't tell you exactly when it's going to be out, but follow me, follow my website, and follow my podcast.
I was just going to hit you, Vinny. Go ahead. Tell everybody your social media and everything. And then also tell them where they can find the book. Go ahead.
Right. Well, Wrestleville.com is where you can find everything, right? Has all my products up there. Also has some t-shirts up there. Got all the podcasts up there. This past year, I started interviewing international wrestlers as well. So I got Molly Spartan up there. She's married to Wolfgang.
Oh, yeah.
In NXT UK. And I got Casey. I have Ian Skinner. I've got TJ Rage. I mean, it's just really amazing the international scene over there. Guys that are talking to me, and then of course you can get all three of the books. You got the Lance Von Erich, or Lance by Chance, Wrestling as a Von Erich, and Pro Wrestling Vault 1 and 2, and you can get all those with signed stickers. The Wrestling Vault books, they come out with it's almost like a crapshoot, right? I mean, of who you get, but boy, there's some good ones in there, man, and some of these autographs you just may never come across.
That's awesome.
I got Lalani Kai, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, they're hardcore, old school wrestling fans. These are a treat.
Yeah,
and you got stories with the people, not the guys. These are the people you remember growing up. You're like, hey, whatever happened to so and so? He's got plenty of them in this book. Yeah, so that's awesome.
Yeah, and she's just a wonderful, wonderful lady. Just a sweetheart of a lady. She's was helping me with pictures, and nice. She's just real excited that the book is coming out and that she's in it. And she was joking with me the other day. It was like, well, yeah, my head's probably turned backwards. As I said, you're going to be surprised what's in this book for you.
That's awesome. Well, Vinny, thank you so much, man. Thank you for your time. And people, check out this book. All right. He's got a bunch from Wrestleville.com. And you're going to love these short stories. It's not a heavy commitment. Just get in there and check them out.
Yeah, and they've even had people to tell me that they read the Lance book within 1 and 2 days,
Yeah.
So, one lady read it twice in 2 days.
Awesome. All right, Vinny, thank you for your time. And good luck as always. One of the hardest working guys I know, man. Appreciate you.